1212. This is not necessarily for publication. This one here is rated R, restricted. The reason it's rated R because what we about to bring out is an offense to the entire world, but that's not new, because to bring out the gospel and the truth about Christ is to offend the entire world. The church system as we know it today is a farce and a lie. Islam as we know it today is a farce and a lie. These things have nothing to do with Christ, nothing to do with the King of the Jews, nothing to do with Israel, nothing to do with God, nothing to do with the Savior. The church is filled with a bunch of Sadducees and Pharisees, money-grubbing gangster thieves that need to be removed from their seat as Christ prescribed in the Bible.
And that's why it's important for us to know that these churches, all these churches, religions, are teaching lies, man. The entire so-called Christian churches are teaching lies. Islam is a lie. All these religions are lies, and they stop us from knowing who we really are, and that stops us from following the Bible, man. The church is teaching us that our laws are done away with. They teaching us that the laws are done away with. That's why all our women can go sit up in the church on Sunday, go on Monday, on Wednesday, different days, have Bible study, come out and be the biggest freaks they are, man. I believe in helping you, and listen, and I'm ready to die for it. I believe in you. I believe that you can be better. I believe that you should live. I believe you should not starve in the ghetto. I believe you should be on top. I believe in the wealth and the welfare of you. I don't believe in no damn religion. I believe in my brother. I believe in my brother.
Numbers chapter 33, verse 3. And they departed from Ramesses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month.
The day of the Passover. Go ahead.
On the morrow after the Passover, the children of Israel went out with an high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians. Verse 4. For the Egyptians buried all their firstborn.
I'm just speeding you up, and this is the purpose of what the Lord did when he was destroying. He was destroying Egypt, and he was doing something else. Go ahead.
Which Yahweh had smitten among them, upon their gods.
Upon their who?
Upon their gods.
That's why he was cursing the water, because they was worshiping the god called Happy. It's a blue-colored god, and it looks just like this. This is the god of the Nile River. God was cursing, and that's only one of their gods of the Nile River. All right? You think I'm going to serve some damn Egyptology? All right? Read that again.
Come on. Verse 4, Numbers 33 and verse 4. For the Egyptians buried all their firstborn, which Yahweh had smitten among them, upon their gods. Also Yahweh executed judgments. Verse 5.
That's it. Go ahead. From the top, you see it.
Chapter 13, the book of Josephus, verse 1. So Moses, when he understood that Pharaoh, in whose reign he fled away, was dead, asked leave of Ragal to go to Egypt for the benefit of his own people, and took with him Zipporah, the daughter of Ragal,
which is Jethro's daughter. Go ahead.
Whom he had married, and the children he had by her, Gershom and Eleazar, and had made haste into Egypt. Now the form of those names, Gershom in the Hebrew tongue, signifies that he was...
You should be on the other one that you could read where I'm talking about the plagues.
Okay, right. Chapter 14. But when the king despised the words of Moses and had no regard at all to them, grievous plagues seized the Egyptians, every one of which I will describe, both because no such plague did ever happen to any other nation as the Egyptians now felt.
Right. Nobody felt these plagues on no other planet, no other nation. Go ahead.
And because I would demonstrate that Moses did not fail in any one thing that he foretold them, and because it is for the good of mankind that they may learn this caution, not to do anything that may displease the Lord, lest he be provoked to wrath. And
also the Lord was showing Israel his power too. Go ahead.
And avenge their iniquities upon them. For the Egyptians' river ran with bloody water at the commandment of the Lord, insomuch that it could not be drunk. And they had no other spring of water neither.
Imagine you can't drink no water and the weather is warm. Imagine there's no water to drink. Understand what the Lord is doing. Imagine you ain't got no water. You working and you can't drink no water. Go ahead.
So they would be praying to their God, the water God, and he ain't acting like these.
Exactly. The Lord cursing it.
Come on.
They got several water gods and this is one of them. And the Lord is cursing their gods. Right. Let them know who is God or who is the power. Read.
For the water was not only of the color of blood, but it brought upon those that ventured to drink of it great pains and bitter torment.
They were so thirsty, they said, the damn that, I'm going to drink it anyway. And they started getting sick.
Right.
And it brought pains in their stomach. Read.
Such was the river to the Egyptians, but it was sweet and fit for drinking to the Hebrews.
You see that? You see where the Lord separated, but it was fit for us. Read.
And no way different from
read on.
And no way different from what is naturally used to be. As a king, therefore, knew not what to do in these surprising circumstances.
Come on, brother, mind the question. Brother, mind go with the question.
I just want to know where we at. I got lost. I couldn't really hear what he said where we was at.
If you could move up so they can hear. They can't hear you. He's reading out of the book of Josephus.
Oh, okay.
All right. And he's giving you, Josephus ain't no prophet, right? But he was an historian. And so what he did was an account of a verbal story that was given to him. And whoever spoke to him, they were speaking on the terms of what happened during the time of Egypt. Just like when we get back into our land, our children may ask us, what happened during the time of America destruction? And we'll start to tell them. You understand?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay,
try to read back a little bit so you can understand.
Come on, I'm going to go. Okay. For the Egyptians' river ran with bloody water at the commandment of the Lord, insomuch that it could not be drunk.
Meaning, when the Lord turned the water into blood, read on.
And they had no other spring of water neither.
The Egyptians couldn't drink no water. Can you imagine if it was hot like it is over there in Egypt and you can't drink no water? Read on.
For the water was not only of the color of blood, but it brought upon those that ventured to drink it.
Meaning, it wasn't only the color of blood, but even if you tried to drink it, because the Egyptians were so thirsty that they said, damn that, even though it's red and all that, I'm going to drink it anyway. Read on.
Great pains and bitter torment.
Great pains and bitter torment came upon the Egyptians. Read on.
Such was the river to the Egyptians, but it was sweet and fit for drinking to the Hebrews.
But it was sweet to the Hebrews. Sweet and fit for the Hebrews. The Lord put a separation. All right? We'll read on.
And no way different from what it naturally used to be.
Hold on.
So it wasn't actually blood, but it was red.
Right.
So like we would just describe it as
It's
it
blood.
was blood.
Right.
So when Esau showing blood in the water, it ain't.
Right. I ain't gonna say.
It was okay.
I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna just go for
His account.
his account is.
Okay.
I'll go with the biblical account.
Right.
You know what
See
I mean?
what it
Yeah,
says.
I'll go with that. Because it's for sure unlawful to drink blood.
Right.
You know what I mean? Go ahead.
As the king therefore knew not what to do in these surprising circumstances,
Pharaoh ain't know what to do. Go ahead.
and was in fear for the Egyptians.
And he was what?
In fear for the Egyptians.
In what?
In fear for the Egyptians.
Pharaoh was in fear for the Egyptians. And now the Lord. Go ahead, Q. You got it.
that precept what the Lord do to them damn gods.
Okay. Somebody, you want to read it? Or go
Yeah, I
ahead.
can read it. Zephaniah 2:11.
Famish.
Okay. The Lord will be terrible unto them, for he will famish all the gods of the earth, and men shall worship him, everyone from his place, even all the isles of the heathen.
Right? You understand that? All right. The water.
He gave the Hebrews leave to go away. But when the plague ceased, he changed his mind.
He's out. Nah, I ain't letting y'all go. Once the plague left, he's out. Nah. Go ahead, y'all can go, but leave the cattle.
Right.
Leave the cattle. Leave the children, the little ones too. I'll let y'all go. Read on.
He changed his mind again and would not suffer them to go. But when the Lord saw that he was ungrateful, and upon the ceasing of this,
He's saying ungrateful, but actually, biblically, the Lord hardened his heart because the Lord is really making him do this. But he's making him do certain things so the Israelites will see it, and the Egyptians and the whole entire earth would hear about it. Like the Lord is just sitting there, he's playing, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna harden his heart. I'm gonna let a evil spirit harden his heart, so I can do this. So the evil spirit is saying, nah, I ain't gonna let y'all go. You gotta leave your kids though, by y'all. And your woman. I'm gonna let your man go. You ain't gonna go nowhere without your family. Read on.
and upon the ceasing of this calamity will not grow wiser. He sent another plague upon the Egyptians. An innumerable multitude of frogs consumed the fruit of the ground.
Now the frogs come. Okay? Read on.
The river was also full of them.
The river was full of these frogs. Now imagine and visualizing you seeing frogs coming up out the river. Imagine everything that he's talking about. Imagine all these frogs. Read on.
Insomuch that those who drew water had it spoiled by the blood of these animals, as they died in.
Right, the animals was dying inside the water. Go ahead.
And were destroyed by the water. The water and the country was full of filthy slime, as they
because of the frogs, it was slime all over the place because of these frogs.
Right.
I ain't talking about your house. I'm talking about your whole house. You go in your bathroom, frogs. You open up a box, you got frogs and slime. Imagine that. Like the Lord is powerful. If you understand what the Lord, how strong the Lord, this ain't something that. It's something amazing, really. Yeah. When you really think about it, can you imagine you step and there's nothing but frogs in here, and you so tired of frogs. You go in your car and you got frogs. You going to work, rolling down the street and you smashing frogs. Like y'all don't know if y'all really understand. Yeah, and it brought odor. Go ahead.
And if you look in the scripture, it tells you that the frogs were on the people themselves and in their beds.
Yeah, in their beds. It's gonna go into it.
As they were born and as they died, they also spoiled their vessels in their house, which they used, and were found among what they eat.
Don't look.
When they spoiled the vessels, like when they say the vessels, it's talking about like the frogs like decaying?
No, I'm talking about whatever vessels you had in your house was no good afterwards. So much slime and probably deteriorated or whatever the Lord had him do. It was just no more good. You know what I mean? Bro, hold on. Both of you right there at the same
If
time.
I remember also in the law, for any animal that died in the vessel, you would have to throw the vessel away anyway.
Yeah, but I think with the Egyptians, they don't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they pray to a frog god.
Right.
That's why the Lord is cursing them with frogs.
Right.
That god is
A cat.
yeah, a cat. See the frog face? Over. These are all on the walls of Egypt. So all these Egyptology Negroes, all that garbage they be talking, yeah, they got multiple gods. I don't even want to hear it.
It's still there now.
Since they want to talk about the walls of Kemet. This is on your walls of Kemet, a frog god.
Frog face.
Yeah,
That's a ket.
A ket.
K-E-T.
yeah. And it's a goddess. And it got a frog's head on it.
Come on.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right? Yeah, go ahead and continue.
And were found among what they eat.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. One more here.
Yeah, the brother Trooper Rahal War in Kokomo, Indiana. He want to know, is this the complete works of Flavius Josephus?
Con. He ain't an actual prophet, but I'm just going over the account that he's given during the time of the plagues, because we in the time of the Passover. But I'm trying to really show the power of the Most High and what happened. Right. If you could really give a visual, imagine Trooper, if your house had nothing but frogs all in it. You know what I mean? And that you couldn't do nothing. Every time you went in the shower, a bunch of frogs laying on, in the tub. You know what I mean? You go to bed, you wake up, you got frogs all over you. And slime all over you. You know what I mean? And God was cursing the god I.S.U.P.K that they worship, which is the frog god. Go ahead.
And what they drank, and came in great numbers upon their beds. There was also an ungrateful smell.
Said an ungrateful smell. Like you talking days of this. You ain't talking frogs came and then they left the next day. You talking like a couple of days of this. That'll make you miserable. Read on.
And a stink arose from them as they were born. And they...
Meaning they were having babies. The Lord making them multiply. Read.
And as they died therein. Now when the Egyptians were under the oppression of these miseries, the king ordered Moses to take the Hebrews with him and be gone, upon which the whole multitude of the frogs vanished away, and both the land and the river returned to their former natures.
Right.
But as soon as Pharaoh saw that the land freed from this plague, he forgot the cause of it, and retained the Hebrews, and as though he had a mind to try the nature of more such judgments. He would not yet suffer Moses and his people to depart, having granted that liberty rather out of fear than out of any good consideration.
Right. Right.
According to the Lord, punished his falseness with another plague, added to the former. For there arose out of the bodies of the Egyptians an innumerable quantity of lice.
Here you go, right here. Here's another god, Geb, the Egyptian god. All this is on the walls of your Kemet. And God was destroying their gods. They got a god of lice. Like, how filthy can you really be?
They probably would
Right, that's what I'm saying. To even have it. Okay?
Like the monkeys and shit.
Now, you could imagine you get lice, right? This is what you would be doing right about now. You'd be like, yo, baby, we got camp tomorrow. You'd be like, yo, yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Y'all got that camp fun? This is what y'all would be doing. When you get lice, you scratch it.
Right.
This is something that's attacking you. And you know the Lord brought plenty of them. Yeah. Can you imagine a whole nation doing this? Just everybody steadily scratching. Go ahead, Q.
Them Philistines, they got the emeralds and shit.
God, I got that down here. God. I got both of them scriptures down here on this paper. You right. Hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids, or what do you call them? Hemorrhoids. You know, go ahead.
By which, wicked as they were, they miserably perished, as not able to destroy this sort of vermin, either with washes or with ointment.
Damn. Yeah. Like, you gotta visualize that they trying to get rid of these lice.
Right.
You know what I mean? They scratching and
God, you said the God is a God of lice?
Yeah. Yeah, right here.
And what was the purpose of this God?
They probably was getting lice already, and they probably had a God of lice. This is it right here, Q.
I got to check that out after.
God.
That's sick.
God. Go ahead.
At which terrible judgment the king of Egypt was in disorder, upon the fear into which he reasoned himself, lest his people should be destroyed, and that the manner of this death was also
they probably, you know, begging him. They probably say, man, why don't you let them go, McQuark. Come on, man, let them roll out. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna go on my. Let's read on.
The scripture does say that they went to Pharaoh and said,
right.
Let them go.
Let them go. He started begging Pharaoh. God.
Continue. So that he was forced in part to recover himself from his wicked temper to a sounder mind. For he gave leave for the Hebrews themselves to depart. But when the plague thereupon ceased, he thought it proper to require that they should leave their children and wives behind.
You see that? He said, y'all can leave, but leave your children and your wives behind. Okay? That's biblical. Go ahead.
As pledges to their return, whereby he provoked the Lord to be more vehemently angry at him, and as if he thought to impose on his providence, and as if it were only Moses and not the Lord who punished the Egyptians.
Right, he thinking it's Moses. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
For the sake of the Hebrews. For he fulfilled that country full of various sorts of pestilential creatures, with their various properties, such indeed as had never come into the sight of men before.
All right, he gave them other pestilence. Right. Okay, go ahead.
For, by whose means...
But in the Bible it says swarms of flies. Right. Go ahead. Let me know when you get tired. You give it to Robert. Okay.
I was I wonder if he still got them flies over there in Africa, you know?
Yeah, they do.
By whose means the men perished themselves, and that the land was destitute of husbandmen for its cultivation. But if anything escaped destruction from them, it was killed by the distemper which the men underwent also.
Right.
But when Pharaoh did not even then yield to this will of the Lord, but while he gave leave to the husbands to take their wives with them, yet insisted that the children should be left behind, the Lord presently resolved to punish his wickedness with several sorts of calamities, and those worse than the foregoing, which yet had also generally afflicted them, for their bodies were had terrible boils breaking forth with flames, while they were already inwardly consumed, and a great part of the Egyptians perished in this manner.
Meaning they had boils on them. That god that he was cursing was the goddess of medicine and the god of medicine, which was Hotep. Who else? Hotep. Go ahead.
You told us before that Isis was medicine.
Yeah, Isis.
with
But
magic.
they also using ice. They also got ISIS for the sun god. Also, I mean the sky.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But that's correct though.
You gave us
ISIS. Yeah, you're correct. But some of them have ISIS for being one or the other. But Hotep and then another one. What was it?
for the healing and magic.
Yeah, it was another one that I
Is-
gave. You got it?
Thoth.
Yeah, thought.
Thoth.
Thoth.
Thoth. Yeah. Yeah. It's another one. Yeah. These are all gods. Go ahead.
So,
Yeah.
in the Apocrypha, it talk about how the Lord make all the so-called doctors not able to even heal the people.
Is that it? Yeah. Hell yeah.
Wisdom of Solomon 17, 7 and 8. As for the illusions of art magic, they were put down, and their vaunting in wisdom was reproved with disgrace. For they that promised to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul were sick themselves of fear, worthy to be laughed at.
Right. Right. Like how you gonna heal somebody and you got it? You know what I
The
mean?
same men boasting all this power. The same men who challenged Moses with the snakes, they boasting all that power and they have all this magic. No, flies, boils, they didn't have no answer for it.
Right. And they on them.
And it's on them. And they scared. No, they.
Hold on, I gotta get that one. 17 and what?
Wisdom of Solomon 17, 7 and 8.
7 and 8. Wow.
Oh, so like, if you want verse 9 too.
Go ahead, read verse 9.
For though no terrible thing did fear them, yet being scared with beasts that pass by and hissing of serpents.
Right.
Like they'll know all them beasts turn on them.
Yeah, now they scared.
God.
Go ahead.
The Egyptians were deathly afraid of snakes. They used to send up to Byblos, which is where Tyre and Sidon was, to get spells. They got a writing. They say it's a Semitic writing, but it's written in hieroglyphics that they couldn't translate.
And that they were scared of snakes.
They was definitely afraid of snakes in Egypt, and this they would send up to these people in Byblos to get spells to bring down because they were so afraid of snakes in ancient Egypt.
Right. Right. And you know what's so funny, because they got a story with Moses. You know, and this is one thing that the Egyptology Negroes never talk about. The Ethiopians was punishing the Egyptians.
The Kemetic.
They had control, right? They had control of the lower part of the Nile. Until they sent Moses.
To whoop them.
Right. And Moses, and it was an area where they was serpents that they couldn't cross.
Right.
And there was another way that they could cross, and they said, well, the only way that you can get directly to them is that you got to go across this area where there's serpents. Moses, being so, wise, he went and found these beasts, impuses, that attacks those serpents. Like, the only thing that they hunt for food is serpents. And so he just gathered a whole bunch of them and came down, slaughtered the Ethiopians for the Egyptians. But the Egyptians was hoping that he died.
Oh, they sent him to fight.
Right. Not Pharaoh, but the wise men and counselors of Pharaoh, because they were saying he is their deliverer.
Okay.
They knew who he was.
They knew who he was when he grabbed that diadem and threw it on the ground and stomped on it. And they said, that's the one who's going to bring the fall of Egypt. Like, it's evident that they had heard a story. And they probably had heard the story from a Hebrew.
Right.
Of being redeemed out of there.
Yeah.
Not some prophecy that they done got, but hearing the Hebrew Israelites in Egypt saying, we're going to get delivered. We're going to get delivered. Abraham told us we were going to get delivered.
He surely told him.
You know what I mean? Right. Right. And that's where he married the Ethiopian wife.
That's where he got
Ethiopian. Yeah, when you do the history, he married the Ethiopian wife while he went down in Ethiopia and crushed him. And she asked him, if you marry me and blah, 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 I forgot the whole story. Go ahead, Q.
Right. he wasn't in the truth yet. You understand? Just
Right.
like we explained to you.
Right. He was not. He was not in the truth. He was a general in their army, so he wasn't in the truth. And then later on, he married another wife. Go ahead.
One question. Chemists were the Ethiopians, the chemists?
No. They all are
Cushites,
have.
but you know what I'm saying? That they call that area Kemet.
Yeah. Right, but Kemet is really Kam or it's Ham,
Right.
the land of Ham.
Oh, okay, that's just
They really Hamites, but they just two different tribes.
Okay.
It was like a location.
Yeah.
What they called Kemet.
Yeah,
They
some of them call it Kemet.
upper and lower. They
Right.
had different names.
Yeah, but then you got some Kemet call all that, even the Middle East, they call it
Come.
Kemet because of Hamites.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to know because when I hear,
So-called Negroes say call it that.
yeah, that's what.
That's nigga. Salakia on the internet, but that's Negro foolishness, and Africa and all that was called the land of Ham, which is common in the Hebrew. Okay, can you hear me?
One brother said the sound was a little low.
Salakia for the sound. Okay, where we at? Okay.
For their bodies had terrible boils breaking forth with blains.
So the Egyptians had balls and stuff like that on their bodies. All right, go ahead. And God was cursing their god of medicine, or their goddesses of medicine. It was several goddesses, all right, and several gods of medicine. Hotep was one of them, because he was looked at supposedly as some god, Isis and all them, and Thoth. What is it? Thoth. Yeah, Thoth. Another one. Go ahead. What's going on?
You said Hotep, so it's not Imhotep?
Imhotep. I'm just so used to the Imhotep. So used to Mashak saying Homotep. True. And when I found out Seti and Hars, I said Homotep. They on the Homotep. Yeah. But go ahead, brother.
While they were already inwardly consumed, and
Go ahead.
and a great part.
What page he was on?
What page you on?
Oh, this is page 73.
Right.
What?
Tell him it's a little different from, I don't know which one he had.
Antiquities, where you at?
Yeah.
Explain where you at.
I'm in page 73 of the book of Josephus. It's chapter 14.
And it'll say something on the chapter, in front of the chapter. In front of the
It
chapter.
says concerning the 10 plagues which came upon the Egyptians.
Concerning the 10 plagues which came upon the Egyptians.
Book 2.
Book 2.
That
ain't the your joint, but it has.
It'll tell you which book. Is it a book of antiquities? The
Antiquities of the Jews.
Yeah, Antiquities of the Jews, brother.
Chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
14.
Chapter 14.
Right, and I guess like verse 4, I don't know.
Right. Go ahead.
Section 4, paragraph 4.
Go ahead.
And a great part of the Egyptians perished in this manner. But when the king
So a lot of them died. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of the Egyptians was dying during this time. Go ahead.
But when the king was not brought to reason by this plague, hail was sent down from heaven, and such hail was it as the climate of Egypt had never suffered before, nor was it like to that which falls in other climates in wintertime, but was larger than that which falls in the middle of spring to those that dwell in the northern and northwestern regions.
So the Lord is he's cursing the god of Nut. That's one of the gods of the sky. Also Seth and Shu and Nut. But here's it is on the Egyptian, right down here below. That's the goddess of Nut, of the sky. The Most High is cursing them as he bringing the plagues. He's cursing their gods. Okay. Now you got hail falling all on you. Read on.
This hail broke down their bowls laden with fruit.
Meaning that once the hail started, it started knocking all their fruit trees down. I mean, the fruit off the trees. So now your fruit is laying on the ground. The Lord is causing an effect, with destroying Egypt. Read.
After this, a tribe of locusts consumed the seed.
Now, the Lord, after the fruit hits the ground, now he brings locusts. And that's another God. Let me see. Which one was that I had? Locust. Go ahead. Seth. Seth looked like a god like this. It's on the walls. And it got like a it's like a face of a locust. It's something like that, but it's skinnier. Okay. It's like it. Now they got that Egyptian. That Egyptian, I'm not no good artist. It looked like that. With a beetle thing type.
Right.
But that's another God that the Lord was cursing. So once the fruit hit the ground, the Lord sent the locusts to eat the fruit.
God damn, they didn't pick it up fast enough.
Exactly. So read that part again.
After this, a tribe of locusts consumed the seed.
No, I mean a little bit up with the hail hitting the fruit.
Okay. This hail broke down their bowls laden with fruit. After this, a tribe of locusts consumed the seed which was not hurt by the hail, so that to the Egyptians all hopes of the future fruits of the ground were entirely lost.
Meaning it ate the fruit and the seeds. The Lord was bringing it on them. Okay? Read on.
One would think the aforementioned calamities might have been sufficient for one that was only foolish without wickedness, to make him wise and to make him sensible what was for his advances. But Pharaoh led not so much by his folly as by his wickedness. Even when he saw the cause of his miseries, he still contested with the Lord and willfully deserted the cause of virtue. So he bid Moses take the Hebrews away with their wives and children, but leave their cattle behind, since their own cattle were destroyed. But when Moses said that what he had desired was unjust, since they were obliged to offer sacrifices to the Lord of those cattle, and the time being prolonged on this account, a thick darkness without the least light spread itself over the Egyptians.
Right. Now that's another God he destroyed. And that, go ahead.
You can read that last part again.
Yeah.
With doctors.
Yeah.
Okay. At the time being prolonged on this account, a thick darkness without the least light spread itself over the Egyptians, whereby their sight being obstructed and their breathing hindered by the thickness of the air.
Obstructed. This is what that goddess looked like of the locusts.
Some shit. Like bug nose.
Yeah.
Needle.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Read that part again. Go ahead.
I'll skip this for that part if you want to.
Go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon 17:2. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fetters with the bonds of a long night, lay there exiled from the eternal providence. And they talk about the long time and the darkness that comes.
That don't, any more on that? No, that's it. Because they're going to go into it.
They're going to go into it. Probably, yeah, it could probably as it go, I'm gonna see how it's saying. If you could pair it up. Everything on
Listen, just switch out and do your thing, and then later on after class you teach them. Go ahead.
A thick darkness without the least light spread itself over the Egyptians, whereby their sight being obstructed and their breathing hindered by the thickness of the air. They died miserably.
Read that again.
They died miserably.
Not the whole thing.
Okay, come.
And this is what happened during the time when the Lord sent the darkness. Okay?
A thick darkness without the least light.
Okay? And let me show you. This is what God is cursing. And this is the so-called Kemet God, famous God Ra. God was destroying their Ra.
Sun God worship.
Where sun God worship.
Yeah.
Which is also the unconquered sun, soul invictus, all that. Okay? Now read that part again.
A thick darkness.
A thick darkness. Not only did he block out the sun, but the air was thick. Now imagine, it's dark, you light a fire, and you can't see nothing. That's what the Lord brought. That's what he brought. Like to us it ain't much because we trying to visualize it. But when I started to read this, I took it to heart and I started to understand. I said, damn, the Most High is powerful. I said, they suffering. Can you imagine plague after plague after plague after plague after scratching, and they dying? During these plagues, they ain't telling you that they dying, but they dying in this book. Now read on.
A thick darkness without the least light spread itself over the Egyptians, whereby their sight being obstructed and their breathing hindered.
They what? That's the point you got to be clear with. Don't read that. Don't read this is the point. Read.
Whereby their sight being obstructed.
Their sight being obstructed. They can't see nothing. You talking 3 days. We ain't talking about like the sun come up the next, then the night come in, it's just super dark. You talking days of full out darkness. That's what you talking about. 8 o'clock in the morning is nothing but pitch black. You can't even do this to see your head. And it's thick atmosphere. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon 17, verse 5. No power of the fire might give them light, neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to lighten that horrible night.
You understand? They couldn't even see it. You light a torch, you couldn't see it. You try to make a bonfire. It's still dark. You might mess around and fall into the bonfire. Go ahead.
Like how Alaska has the I guess certain number of nights.
Yeah.
Something like
that. Yeah. But except this, you can't use no light to guide yourself. Imagine it's that. But it's messing with your breathing. Like you could barely breathe. It's like that. It's like a fog, a thick fog of rain. That's what it's like. It's like a thick fog, but of darkness. That the Lord brought on the Egyptian. Like it's a hell of an Independence Day for us, the Passover. When you really look at it. You know what I mean? Like it's like he destroyed Egypt. Annihilated Egypt. And Egypt ain't been the same ever since. Read on.
And their breathing hindered by the thickness of the air.
Imagine you trying to go to sleep. You scared you may not wake up because you can't breathe. This ain't one day, it's several days. Go ahead.
They died miserably.
They died. They suffocated. That's what happened. That's the account that they given on what happened when the Lord brought the plagues to Egypt. The Lord was killing them. Just like he killing America with the mudslide. You know what I mean? It's like reading about a mudslide but not hearing about the deaths that was in the mudslide.
Right. So is it safe to say back then in Egypt, like how Esau doesn't believe it's the Most High, would you say back then the Egyptians didn't believe it was the Most High?
Right. Go ahead. He gonna give it to you right now. That's correct. That's good.
Wisdom of Solomon 17:10. They died for fear, denying that they saw the air, which could of no side be avoided.
The water. Go ahead. All right.
They died.
Go ahead.
They died miserably and under a terror, lest they should be swallowed up by the dark cloud. Besides this, when the darkness after 3 days and as many nights was dissipated, and when Pharaoh did not still repent and let the Hebrews go, Moses came to him and said, how long wilt thou be disobedient to the command of the Lord?
Right.
For he enjoys...
He said, how long you going to be disobedient, man? Go ahead.
For he enjoins thee to let the Hebrews go. Nor is there any other way of being freed from the calamities you are under, unless you do so.
Right. And and let me tell you something. You can't have I remember GEN.YAHANNA said, you can't have liberty without no bloodshed.
That's right.
Somebody remember Jeremiah used to say that, GEN.YAHANNA? Somebody got to die in order for you to get free. Your oppressor have to be killed for you to stop being oppressed.
It's saying, in first Ezra or second?
Right
there.
Okay. Go ahead. Come on with it.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 18, verse 7. So for the people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies.
That's simple. You understand? The salvation of the righteous and the destruction of the enemies. Go ahead.
Verse 8. For wherewith thou didst punish our adversaries, by the same thou didst glorify us, whom thou hast called.
Right. He glorified one and shamed the other.
I remember Muhammad saying that too. You can't have salvation without somebody dying.
Somebody got to go. The oppressor, he got to cease. The scriptures also say, how does the oppressor cease? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, go ahead. So this darkness was like a thick cloud and it was killing them. All right? Read on.
But the king was angry at what he said and threatened to cut off his head if he came.
So he got mad with Moses. He said, yo, you bring your behind around here one more time, I'm going to chop your head off.
Right.
That's what he said to Moses. Read on.
If he came any more to trouble him about these matters. Whereupon Moses said he would not speak to him any more about them, for that he himself, together with the principal men among the Egyptians, should desire the Hebrews to go away. So when Moses had said this, he went away.
Right.
But when the Lord had signified that with one more plague he would compel the Egyptians to let the Hebrews go, he commanded Moses to tell the people that they should have a sacrifice ready, and that they should prepare themselves on the 10th day of the month, Xanthicus, against the 14th, which month is called by the Egyptians Parma, and Nisan by the Hebrews, but the Macedonians called it Xanthicus.
Right.
And that he should carry away the Hebrews with all they had. Accordingly, he having got the Hebrews ready for their departure, and having sorted the people into tribes, he kept them together in one place. But when the 14th day was come, and all were ready to depart, they offered a sacrifice, and purified their houses with the blood, using bunches of hyssop for that purpose.
Okay.
And when they had supped, they burned the remainder of the flesh as just ready to depart.
Go ahead.
Some here, like when he was talking with Pharaoh, and Pharaoh back against him too.
Go. Read.
Wisdom of Solomon 17, verse 20. For the whole world shined with clear light, and none was hindered in their labor. Over them only was spread an heavy night, an image of that darkness which should afterwards receive them. But yet were they unto themselves more grievous than the darkness. Like they bump against each other and they bring it more on themselves.
Right, right. Any more?
And going in after to know the deliverance, like with the sacrifice.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. Go ahead.
And when they had supped, they burned the remainder of flesh as just ready to the pot.
Let me see where you at. Go ahead.
8%.
Okay. I just want to see where you at, Ash. Right there.
Right here, where it says whence.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to have you stop right here, and then I'll tell you when to read this part. Go to Exodus chapter 12. And we're going to, Raw Bone. Go ahead and hit me off. Going to Exodus 12. So I'm just trying to give you a little bit of what went on with them plagues and what the Lord was doing to bring us out of Egypt. All right? And how he made his name known in the earth. And the marvelous, wonderful works that he did for Israel, man, for our Independence Day. Go ahead, Robo.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb.
Skip down to verse 11.
Verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded.
Meaning this, that you better, on the day of the Passover, when the Lord was getting ready to bring that last plague, visualize this. It would be like sitting in here, and we eating some lamb with our rod in our hand, strapped up, girded with your garment on, ready to roll out. Like this, just waiting and hearing all the cries. You eating with your staff in your hand. And all you hearing is ambulance, the police department, fire department going crazy, people crying. Everybody dropping, the firstborn dropping. The firstborn dog dropping to the firstborn man dropping.
Right.
That's something. That's something different. You ain't seen nothing like that. You know what I mean? You ain't, half of us can't even imagine that. You know what I mean? Even if you've been to Iraq or Vietnam or whatever, you ain't imagine the firstborn just dropping in front of you. That's something different. That's a plague. And that ain't a plague with somebody getting sick. That's somebody just dropping dead in minutes. Read on.
And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand.
Right.
And you shall eat it in haste.
You eating it real fast. Like that. Read on.
It is the Lord's Passover.
It's the Lord's Passover. Read.
For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt.
And all the gods of Egypt. And the main god that he's going to destroy is Pharaoh. Because Pharaoh was looked at as a god, and his son will be next in line and looked at as a god.
Right.
That's why he killed all the firstborn. Now he's destroying the house of Pharaoh. The whole house of Pharaoh and Egypt. Read on. Read that part again.
Verse Exodus 12 and 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night.
The Lord said, I'm going to pass through the land of Egypt this night. Go ahead.
And will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast.
Both man and beast. Go ahead.
And against all the gods of Egypt.
And all the gods of Egypt. Why? Because Egypt was full of gods. How the hell I'm going to worship some goddamn Egypt? About your damn mind.
Right.
I'm going to worship a frog? About a woman?
There it is. Right there.
You out your goddamn mind, man. They worshiping everything on the face, everything that crawleth on 4 floors and legs and all that. You out your damn mind. Something I can squash. Out your damn mind. Go ahead.
Good. Like what the Lord gave us dominion over the goddamn beasts of the field
Right.
and everything like that.
Right.
You want to worship him.
Right, you want to worship him. You had dominion over the beast and over a woman. And them Negroes want me to worship Egyptology. You out your goddamn mind, man. That ain't good. I ain't curse all night. Can't stand that Egyptology. I guess since GEN.YAHANNA annihilated Egyptology, I ain't mad no more. Yeah. Read on.
And against all the gods of Egypt, I will
Against what?
Against all the gods of
All the gods of Egypt. Love that part. Go ahead.
I will execute judgment. I am the Most High. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And where I see blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Most High throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
That's right. It's your independence from Egypt. You know what I mean? That's where the Lord made himself known to the Israelites.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's when we became a nation. You know what I mean? Like, that's our Independence Day. And let me say this. Most of our high holy days is the Lord destroying somebody.
Yeah.
Purim, Hanukkah. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
The Lord is a man of war.
That's right. The Lord is the man of war. Exodus 15:3. Damn right. You had a question?
Brother online had a comment.
Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead.
Shalom, my people.
Hey, shalom, Mark.
Yeah, just a comment. After next month's debate, how about the next time one of them House of Unconsciousness brothers challenge y'all to a debate, take it. But if they lose, and they certainly will, let them take y'all class, man.
Most High in Christ, brother. Most High in Christ. Most High in Christ. Oh, let me tell you something, man. I guarantee you, man. I remember GEN.YAHANNA was going to say, well, this is going to grow. Them brothers is going to come in. Them brothers and them sisters. Egyptology is about through. You know what I mean? Egyptology is just like Egypt, with goddamn barren land. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's the book of the dead. So Most High in Christ, brother, what you just said, they going to come in. You know what I mean? You very seldom see a brother leave from the Hebrew Israelites joining Egyptology. And if he do, he wasn't in the goddamn truth.
That's the damn truth, right?
You get into I.S.U.P.K, you ain't leaving I.S.U.P.K and following no damn Egyptology, all these damn gods. Or you was never in the truth.
Right.
You was just coming to class.
There it is.
You know? So go ahead, read on.
Verse 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread.
7 days shall you eat unleavened bread after the Passover. Go ahead. And why did we have unleavened bread? You know by y'all? I'm going to tell you why. Okay? He told us to burn it and eat all the lamb because we ain't had time. Because we was going to jet out. All right? And we didn't have time to let the bread rise and put yeast in it. So that's why we ate unleavened bread. Because we was going to be traveling away from out of Egypt. You ain't have time. It was time to roll out.
Right.
Lord was telling you, yo, roll out. That's why you got your staff in your hand. You eating all of it. And whatever you don't eat, just throw it in the fire and let it burn up. And take your unleavened bread with you and you carry that on your travels and you would eat that because you ain't have time for it to rise with the yeast in it. Okay? So that was the purpose. It was time to jet out. You know what I mean? You ever know that you had to get ready to jet out somewhere? I'm saying jet out means rush out. You know what I mean? Old school New York style, brother. Jet out. What should I say? Bounce. You know what I mean? But go ahead.
Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses.
And you got to put leaven. Now that's what we do. We put all the leaven out. So when you start the Passover, the next day all your leaven, well, Friday night, we normally put it out. Because Saturday, by the time we get back, it should be no leaven in your household. Right. You know that, right?
Yeah, through the
okay. Most High Christ. Most High Christ. All right. And that same thing with the brothers online. All right. Go ahead.
For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day there shall be in holy convocation. And in the seventh day there shall be in holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them.
Hold on, I want to skip that because I know the generals and I'm going to go over this. Go to 29.
Verse 29. And it came to pass that at midnight the Most High smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt.
Okay.
From the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon.
Meaning the Lord ain't playing. He even killed the prisoners that was firstborn. The guard that was the firstborn of the dungeon. He dropped dead. Every beast, every animal that was firstborn dropped dead. Can you imagine if every firstborn in America dropped dead in one night?
Crazy.
Helicopters would be flying. White people would be crying. Hamites be crying. Asians would be crying. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Maybe even the firstborns in those helicopters be crashing.
Be crashing. Yep. You're exactly right. Everybody. That's what the Lord did. Everybody just start dropping dead. That's something different if you can imagine. People will be hollering and screaming. You know everybody gonna be crying for their firstborn baby dying. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Go ahead.
I ain't gonna take them a minute to realize what's going on. They ain't gonna know what's going on.
Right.
They gonna start tying things together. They gonna see some news thing happening. They ain't gonna know what causing it.
Right. They ain't gonna know it's the firstborn dropping.
Right.
They just gonna see people dropping. You know what I mean? I mean, it's something different when you start to really analyze what was going on with the Most High and what he was doing. Like, that's a damn shocker. You know what I mean? Somebody dropping dead, a bunch of people, millions of people dropping dead in one night.
Yeah.
That's something different. Read on.
And all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants.
Because they screaming and crying. We ain't gonna get no sleep that night. Meanwhile, we eating and ready to leave out. You hear noise, you ready to roll. You got your staff in your hand, just in case you got to fight. Because the Egyptians, they might roll up on you.
They know what?
Yeah.
They know who the cause of this.
Right, they know who the cause of it. They know that damn Moses and them Hebrews. You know what I mean? Read on.
And all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt.
They up there crying. Go ahead.
For there was not a house where there was not one dead. But he called for Moses.
That's something different.
Yeah.
There wasn't not one house where there was not one person dead. That's something different. That means each house is in there crying.
Everybody.
Hollering. Yep. Read on.
And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up.
He called for Moses and Aaron. I thought they didn't want to see Moses no more.
Right.
Read on.
And get you forth from among my people.
He said, Moses, get away from my people, man. Y'all roll out. Get away from us. Read.
Both ye and the children of Israel.
Last time he didn't want your children to leave. He said, you and the children of Israel, all of y'all. Y'all get up out of here. Read.
And go serve the Most High.
Oh, I guess he knew about the Most High that time, that day.
Yep.
He recognized the Lord that day. Go ahead.
As ye have said. Also
he said, as ye have said. Go ahead.
And also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone. And bless me also. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, we be all dead men.
They thinking that everybody gonna die. Read on. A little faster.
And the people took their dough, so before it was leavened, their kneading troughs, being bound up, and their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the words of Moses. And they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment.
Okay, stop right there. Hey, hit that little area down there, that footnote.
Okay, I'm in page 74. These large...
He's back in Josephus. He's going to read the little footnote. Go ahead.
These large presents made to the Israelites of vessels of silver and vessels of gold and raiment were, as Josephus truly calls them, gifts really given them, not lent, as our English falsely renders them. They were spoils required, not borrowed of them.
Meaning you rolled up on the Egyptians and said, yo, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this. Yo, this is mine. Get ready to go up out of here. I'm taking all this. That's what he said. That the Egyptians was like, yo, just get up out of here. Just leave. It was like that. Just get up out of here. Leave.
Right.
You know what I mean? Read on.
They were spoils required, not borrowed of them. As the same word falsely renders the Hebrew word here used.
Right.
The Lord had not ordered the Jews to demand these, as their pay and reward during their long bitter slavery in Egypt, as atonements for the lives of the Egyptians, and as the conditions.
As the lives for the Egyptians.
And as the conditions of the Jews' departure, and of the Egyptians' deliverance from these terrible judgments, which had they not now ceased. They had soon been all dead men, as they themselves...
Stop right there. Go ahead and read that part again, Raw Bone.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 35. And the children of Israel did according to the words of Moses. And they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required. And they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to SKYPE, about 600,000 on foot, that they were men, beside children.
Read.
And a mixed multitude went up also from with them.
Anybody know what that means? A mixed multitude went up out of Egypt? Nobody? Go ahead.
There's a mix. We're talking about some people that wanted to serve Egypt and didn't really want to go.
Right. They was all Israelites, but we wasn't together. It was still some that still had Egypt inside them. You know what I mean? They had the philosophy of Egypt. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure, just like it is here today, if we was to leave up out of America, you would still have your brothers that serve in Islam, and they would have to stop serving Islam, or we wouldn't be unified as a nation. It's the same thing. Okay? All right. Go ahead and rap. You got one shot before you go?
I just looking up one thing here.
I was going to go into hemorrhoids, but y'all know about them hemorrhoids. About the golden hemorrhoids. All right.
I know if you copy, you could verify it, but when you look up the Hebrew for that part there with the borrowed of the Egyptians.
Come on with it.
It said to ask, to inquire, like as it said, they went and take the shit. But like the Egyptians say, you know, he bring this back.
Yeah,
so it's right on point with the history.
Okay,
how he bringing it out now.
Oh, okay.
The actual Hebrew. When you say the English make it seem like they borrow it.
Right, they borrow
but
it.
It ain't like we borrow it. It's like we are taking this
exactly.
and leaving.
Right.
Yeah.
God. The water too.
One, two. This is not necessarily for publication. This one here is rated R. Restricted. The reason it's rated R because what we about to bring out is an offense to the entire world, but that's not new, because to bring out the gospel and the truth about Christ is to offend the entire world. The church system as we know it today is a farce and a lie. Islam as we know it today is a farce and a lie. These things have nothing to do with Christ, nothing to do with the King of the Jews, nothing to do with Israel, nothing to do with God, nothing to do with the Savior.